نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أعوذ بالله الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والذين استجابوا لربهم وأقاموا الصلاة وأمرهم شورى بينهم ومما رزقناهم ينفقون والذين إذا أصابهم البغي هم ينتصرون وجزاء سيئة سيئة مثلها فمن عفا واصلح فأجره على الله إنه لا يحب الظالمين ولمن انتصر بعد ظلمه فأولئك ما عليهم من سبيل إنما السبيل على الذين يظلمون الناس ويبغون في الأرض بغير الحق أولئك لهم عذاب أليم ولمن صبر وغفر إن ذلك لمن عزم الأمور. Respectful friends, the opening verse was recited in last week's tafsir, and we had covered the tafsir and the translation of it. It was just the one part of it that I mentioned will leave for this week. In this verse and in the previous verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had been mentioning some of the qualities of the believers. Where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that وَالَّذِينَ يَجْتَنِبُونَ كَبَائِرَ الْإِثْمِ, those who abstain from major sins, وَالْفَوَاحِشَ, and immoral behavior, and وَإِذَا مَا غَضِبُوا هُمْ يَغْفِرُونَ, and who forgive when they are angry. وَالَّذِينَ اسْتَجَابُوا لِرَبِّهِمْ, those who respond to their Rabb, meaning to adhere to the command of Allah Ta'ala. وَأَقَامُوا الصَّلَاةَ, who established the salah. And وَأَمْرُهُمْ شُورَى بَيْنَهُمْ, whose affairs are decided by mutual consultation. وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ, and who spend from what we have provided for them. So, majority of it, the tafsir had been done. It was this part where Allah mentions that وَأَمْرُهُمْ شُورَى بَيْنَهُمْ. And this is upon which this surah has been named as well, the surah which is known as Surah Shura. وَأَمْرُهُمْ شُورَى بَيْنَهُمْ. Allah Ta'ala says the quality of the believers is that whose affairs are decided by mutual consultation. Allah Ta'ala mentions here the importance of shura, of consultation, of mashwara. And mashwara in what? The fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَأَمْرُهُمْ, their matters indicates that this refers towards those matters which are not farz and wajib. Because those things which are farz and wajib, there Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not instruct us to do mashwara. There is no mashwara there in it. Person does not much do istikhara or mashwara of somebody that should I be leading my Isha Salat or not. Hajj becomes farz, you do not make mashwara whether you should go for Hajj or not. So these are not things that you do mashwara with. So the word وَأَمْرُهُمْ, amr, indicates towards that it is their affairs, meaning those things which are not farz wajib. And with regard to shura and mashwara, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Ali Imran also mentioned فَعْفُ عَنْهُمْ وَاسْتَغْفِرْ لَهُمْ وَشَاوِرْهُمْ فِي الْأَمْرِ. Here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this verse specifically addressing Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam that pardon them, seek forgiveness for them, and وَشَاوِرْهُمْ فِي الْأَمْرِ, and consult them with them in matters. And then, فَإِذَا أَزَمْتَ, when you have taken a firm decision, فَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ, place your trust in Allah Ta'ala, Inna Allah yuhibbul mutawakkilin. Indeed, Allah loves those who place their trust in Him. So there, Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is the one who has been instructed to do mashwara, washawirhum, with them. And who is them? It is the Sahaba Kiram radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And here again Allah Ta'ala mentions that their affairs are such that they make mashwara and consult with regards to it. The fact that Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Ta'ala Wasallam is being instructed to do mashwara with the Sahaba, remembering that the Sahaba are those who are not at the same status of that of Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Ta'ala Wasallam, but despite that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is instructed to do mashwara with the Sahaba, which shows us the importance of what Shura is, the importance of what mashwara is. And here the surah is named on Shura, وَأَمْرُهُمْ شُورَى بَيْنَهُمْ. And this is how an Islamic state, Islamic governance is based upon Shura. It isn't something which, like what you'd call the world's democracy, where those who are not entitled or not worthy of a position are put into position by those who are not worthy of putting people in position. Like you'll have a voting system, and this is regarded to be democracy, of course. And in that, what happens is, every person, whether you understand politics or you don't understand politics, whether you know that person, you don't know that person, every person just goes and ticks the boxes. By which what happens is, such a person is put into position who may not be worthy of it by those people who are not worthy of putting them in position. Shariat, that isn't the case. The Khulafa Rashideen, none of them were put into place by means of votes and elections. That there were ballots placed and now you go and put your votes as to who. So you have Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali, tick the boxes. So first time round, they ticked, the majority was Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiyallahu ta'ala, then it was Sayyidina Umar, then it was Sayyidina Uthman, Ali. It didn't transpire in that manner. So having a shura, having mutual consultation is something which is very, very important in a person's life. And that is what Allah Ta'ala is instructing us to have here. There are few etiquettes when it comes to mashwara, and the purpose of mashwara is that every person's understanding of matters is different. There will be those who, for example, you have the ulama. The ulama are those who are going to have more deeni knowledge than those who are not ulama. So when it comes to deeni matters, who you're going to consult with? You're going to consult with the ulama. Then you have a matter pertaining towards business, for example, to do with finance. You have matters to do with medicine, health. So you have those people who are knowledgeable in those fields. So you do mashwara with people who are in those fields so that you are able to gauge and gain knowledge of those matters. If there is a medical situation, you will not make mashwara with an alim that should you go ahead with the operation or not. Yes, you can consult with the alim with regards to the deeni side of it. If that applies at that time, for example, certain forms of medication and medicine and that. But then you won't ask a alim that, look, should I undergo this operation or not? Yes, you can go after you've seeken medical advice for sake of barakat and du'as and that, but you do not make mashwara in that way. So for every different field, you have those people who are qualified, who have more understanding of it than we have. So Allah Ta'ala commands us that you should do mashwara. And by going to them, you will gain that knowledge and understanding which not every other person will have and possess, or what an individual themselves will possess. Hence, it is important that when a person goes for mashwara as well, you do not go and make mashwara with any person. You should make mashwara with that person who has knowledge of what you're going to make mashwara about. That person who is going to be able to give you a good and honest opinion. Two things here. One is that they should be able to give you a good opinion. And not every person is one who holds an opinion or a good opinion. So somebody who is not really up to it, you can say, or knowledgeable about current affairs even, or life experience, going to such a person, or somebody who isn't zirai, meaning somebody who doesn't really have that opinion-oriented individual, very laid back, for example, who is more of a follower than a leader type of a person, then they're not going to be able to give you any advice. They don't know themselves, so what advice will they give to you? So you need to go to somebody for mashwara who is able to give you advice. And then the person that you go to as well to give for advice should be knowledgeable, and they should be honest as well. Honest, that's what Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentions, al-mustasharu mu'taminun, that when a person goes to somebody for mashwara, that itself is a great responsibility. Great responsibility upon the person who mashwara is taking place with. One is that they are in a position of trust. And when they are in a position of trust, it means that they should be honest in giving their verdict and their opinion. For example, a person who is a businessman and he has a certain type of a business, somebody else comes to that individual for advice with regards to that business. And they want to know whether it is worthwhile going into that business and any other tips and ideas of how to run the business. And this person, knowing that, look, this is going to be a direct competition. This person is going to come into the same business. So instead of being honest to that individual, they'll be dishonest, telling them, look, it's a dying business. There's no point getting involved in it. And so I can't help you, and this, that, whatever. And not be willing to advise that individual, so you're not being honest in that matter. They have come to you with that hope that you're going to give them an honest opinion. Give them the honest opinion, and in that what will happen is that whatever good you do for others, good will always come to you as well. And that is something always remember, that look, whatever is in your muqaddar, whatever is in your taqdeer is definitely going to come to you. So by being good to others, by being helpful to others, is not going to deprive you of anything at all. You will get the goodness will come towards you. And if not in this world, then definitely and surely it will come in the hereafter. So in this way, the person who mashwara is made with needs to be honest and truthful, and they need to also be trustworthy. Trustworthy means, that's what Nabi mentions, al-mustasharu mu'taminun. The person comes and says, look, I'm just consulting with you, and I haven't told anybody as yet. It is just between us. That means what? It should remain between us. And not what happens, and this is very common, that it doesn't remain between us. The person with whom mashwara has been made immediately goes and tells somebody else or some other talker, say, yeah, so and so as well, they're thinking of doing the same venture, or they've come to me for mashwara for this or that. And the other is a person's general form. They haven't specified, or they're not really making mashwara in that sense that it's something which is confidential. They are open with it, it is fine. Then that is a different matter. But where it is confidential, it should remain confidential. And as I mentioned to you, in mashwara, you get different opinions. And when you get different opinions, it makes it a little easier for a person to make a decision, as one individual will have one opinion according to what they think is right or wrong, or what they have understood, or their limited amount of knowledge. Then you make mashwara with somebody else, that broadens. Mashwara with another person, it broadens as well. But at the same time, to do mashwara with those people who it is necessary to do mashwara with. You have some people who make mashwara with everybody. You have those as well. And there are those who come as well. They'll come to scholars, and they'll go to all the scholars. And you have those people. And you find out you're not the only one they've come to. They've come to so many. And in that what happens is they're going to get even more confused. Don't either make much of just one person you trust, or a couple of individuals, 3, 4, to get a broader opinion, but not go all across the board. In that what's going to happen is you're just going to make yourself more confused than anything as well. And not every person may be the rightful person to be able to give you mashwara. And now when mashwara is given to an individual, and also when it comes to mashwara, it is not necessary that mashwara has to be taken from those who are elder than you. Here Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is saying, he has been told, وَشَاوِرُهُمْ فِي الْأَمْرِ. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, nobody greater than Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. When he came to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was told to do who? To do mashwara with the Sahaba Kiram, with whom the Sahaba Kiram radiallahu ta'ala. Which shows that if there are none of those who are senior to you can go to, who have that opinion in native people, who can give you mashwara, then make mashwara with those people who have similar age to you. Make mashwara with those people who are junior to you as well, which Nabi Karim mentioned. And it is not necessary, when it comes to knowledge, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go to the elders, only the elders have more, because no, a person may have more fazilat, but they are younger than those who are older. As Nabi Karim said Abbas. Abbas was who? The uncle of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He was 2 years older than Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, so very close in age, uncle and nephew, but there was more that friendship type of a relationship than uncle-nephew relationship. On one occasion, Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, just out of conversation, asked Ibn Abbas, who's the older from the two? Knowing that we're very similar, what's your age? Those days, they used to remember the date of birth and that. So who's elder than the other? That's when Sayyidina Abbas radiallahu ta'ala said what? In age I am elder than you, but in fazilat you are greater than me. In fazilat you are greater than me, in age I am elder than you. Which shows that not necessary those who are senior in age are those who are the most in fazilat as well. Like ustad and student as well. Ustad is ustad, student is student. But then you may have whether in fazilat and not. The student may outdo the ustad as well. Murid and sheikh as well. Father and son as well. There are many such examples. So when you make mashwara, and mashwara can be sought with anybody. And neither is a case of that it is only you go to a male for mashwara and not to anybody else. Husband can make mashwara with the wife with the husband as well. The waqia incident of Sayyidina Salma radiallahu ta'ala in Surah Hudaybiyah, how a woman, she did what? She saved the Sahaba Kiram radiallahu ta'ala an. Briefly, on the occasion of Hudaybiyah, when the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala, the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala, who had traveled to Makkah al-Mukarramah with the intention of doing the Umrah, they were in the Ihram. But the mushrikeen of Makkah had banned them, had stopped them from entry. And had said to them, go back, you can come back the following year and do the Umrah. So at that time, the Sahaba Kiram radiallahu ta'ala, who had already gone through a sort of a emotional roller coaster with regards to, first they came for Umrah, they were prevented from Umrah, and then Sayyidina Usman was sent, the news came that Usman had been martyred and whatnot. And then the fact that they had been prevented from going and even total entry into Makkah al-Mukarramah. So with all these going on, the Sahaba Kiram radiallahu ta'ala were already put to a great test. At that time when they were now told that they can't go for Umrah, so Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said to the Sahaba, now you need to come out of Ihram. Shave your hair and come out of Ihram and we'll do the Umrah again next year. That even said Umar radiallahu ta'ala had questions that, did you not promise us the Umrah? And Nabi said, I did say, but I didn't say that it will be this year either. These type of things had occurred. So when Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam had told the Sahaba that they need to now come out of Ihram, that was an occasion wherein the Sahaba were in such a state that they didn't immediately comply to what Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam had mentioned. They were in a state of confusion, and that's what they just thought that they didn't carry it out immediately. Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wa sallam realized it, was a bit angry as well. And he came into his tent and said, Salma radiallahu ta'ala noticed that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is disturbed here. And asked, what's happening? And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has said that, look, this is what I've mentioned, they're not doing it. Now, if Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was angry or became angry, and if the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala remained in that state and not followed the command of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, consequences could have been very different. And then that's when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam spoke in Salma. So Salma radiallahu ta'ala anha, she gave mashwara, a woman. She gave mashwara to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and what beautiful mashwara she gave. She said, "Oh Nabi of Allah, if they are not listening to what you are doing, then you just go out and you yourself come out of ihram. Have your hair shaved and you come out of ihram." And the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala, what their condition was that they would follow Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Here, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said something to them, but they were still processing it, you can say. And it was taking a while for them to process it. But at the moment they saw Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam himself now coming out of ihram, getting his hair shaved, and they start now running to one another, shave my hair, shave my hair, shave my hair. Then it seemed as if they would end up cutting their heads off. They're just running to one another, shave my hair, shave my hair. And this they came out of ihram as well, seeing the actions of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and this is what saved the ummah on that day. Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam at that time took mashwara of who? His wife. He took mashwara from who? A woman. Not saying, well, I'm the Nabi of Allah, why should I listen to you for? You're a wife, your position is just keep quiet. That doesn't happen, by the way. So I shouldn't be there to follow you. That wasn't the case. That wasn't the case. But mashwara was given, and the mashwara was not some silly type of a mashwara. It didn't make sense either. But it was a mashwara which was a very intelligent mashwara, and who knows from who, which side, from which individual such advice and mashwara comes, which is very correct as well, and clever mashwara. And Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam adhered to that. So it just shows that it doesn't matter who you take mashwara from. وَأَمْرُهُمْ شُورَى بَيْنَهُمْ. And another aspect of mashwara is that when mashwara takes place as well, the whole point of mashwara is that it is mutual consultation. Mutual consultation means that if you have an amir and he'll have his shura, meaning he has his group of consultants who he'll consult with, or just an individual in general wants to consult with somebody, they're coming to you for advice. And advice means what? That you're advising them, and now that is left to them whether they follow it or not. When you give mashwara to somebody, that is just a mashwara. It is not a command to them. And where it is a mashwara, it is now up to that individual whether they want to accept it or not. And if they do not accept that mashwara, then a person should not feel disturbed by it, that look, I gave that person mashwara and they did not accept it. Yes, you can feel to yourself that look, I gave them mashwara which was the correct mashwara, but they didn't want to take that mashwara. And what does happen is that in mashwara, a person needs to come with an open mind. If a person is already set on something, made the decision, and now it's just a matter of informing rather than it being a case of mashwara. And you get people who've already made their minds, everything is set. It's absolute mashwara karna hai. But this is not mashwara. You're not making mashwara with me. You're just telling me. Fine, you're telling me, I'll make dua for you. Isn't it? Because you're not making mashwara. Like if some parents as well, they'll come and say, mashwara, can we, we want to go to Pakistan, shall we, can we go, will we get permission or not? Have you booked your tickets? They already booked. So now what, you're not coming to make mashwara with me. You're not even asking permission from me either. You're just coming to inform me. That's what it is, more informing rather than actually asking, compared to those who do say, and you do get those who, different people, students and them or parents, because it's a matter of, if you give ijazah, then we'll go ahead with it. If there is permission, then we'll make it, otherwise not. So you have those who already set on something, and now they make it mashwara. That isn't mashwara, that is just informing. So for mashwara, a person needs to be what? Open-minded. So you take in the opinions of others with that look, if that opinion is and does make sense, then I'm open to consultation. I am open to consultation. In our madrasa as well, with regards to the Darul Uloom side or the Maktab side as well, the ustads have been told, you have any such opinions? I'm always open to opinion. It's not a case of a closed shut book that you can't put your opinion forward at all. But at the same time, it is mashwara at the end. And that is very, very important, that it is not compelling upon anybody at all. It is not binding upon the Amir to accept, and neither is it upon whoever gives the mashwara that they feel that, look, why my mashwara was not accepted either. This is what the point of mashwara is. But neither should a person be stubborn. That mashwara is given, but now because you want to remain firm on your own opinion, so that reason you don't want to accept the mashwara of anybody at all, that is mere stubbornness more than anything else when it is blatant what is right and wrong. And with regards to not feeling hurt or bad about it, during the time of Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, there was a slave girl, a Sahabiya by the name of Barira. And Barira radiallahu ta'ala anha, the Ummah is indebted to her, and the Ummah has learned many masail from Barira itself. We don't have time to go into those masail. So Barira radiallahu ta'ala anha was a slave girl. And because she was a slave, so her master, he possessed and he has the power to get her married where he wants to. So he got her married to another Sahabi called Mughis radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Mughis radiallahu ta'ala anhu, whether he was a free person or a slave, there is different opinion with regards to that. She was married a slave girl to Mughis radiallahu ta'ala. She had no choice in that matter. And then after her master had freed her, and now that she became free, she now had the choice as a free woman whether she wanted to remain in the nikah with Mughis or not. That is her choice. Nabi Kareem sallallahu ta'ala sallam mentioned to her that this is what the ruling is, and this is the choice that you have. Since Barira radiallahu ta'ala anha was not happy staying with Mughis radiallahu ta'ala. She wasn't inclined towards him. He was very fond of her. So she wanted to use this opportunity that she has and this choice, and she wanted to free herself from the nikah. And the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala mentioned as well that they can recall how Mughis radiallahu ta'ala would walk and keep on following and walk behind Barira, begging her not to leave him. He was very fond of her, to that extent that he would weep as well and his beard would become wet in his love for Barira. So he didn't want her to leave him, and she didn't want to live with him. And I was seeing the plight of Sayyidina Mughis radiallahu ta'ala. Nabi Kareem sallallahu ta'ala wasallam called Barira, and Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said to Barira, look, this is what the ruling is. You can separate from him, but if you stay with him, then you'll be doing him a favor. This is also something which is good, and that if you stay with him, that choice is still there as well. So Barira radiallahu ta'ala asked Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, said to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, O Nabi of Allah, is this your command, hukam, or is it mashwara? If it is your hukam and your command, then samina wa azan khalas. Then there is no second opinion there whatsoever. My whole life I'll spend with Mughis. This is what the Sahaba Kiram radiallahu for them. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said something, that's it. Nothing else mattered more than that. If that is the case, then I'm willing to do that. She would have done that. But if it is mashwara, if it is a consultation that you've given me, then in that case, I choose not to stay with Mughis. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, fine, if that is what your opinion is, then fine, you are separated from Mughis. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam didn't at any moment say to Barira, but hang on, why are you going against my mashwara for? Why are you not accepting my mashwara? That wasn't the case. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam did not feel bad upon it, and neither did Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam snub her after that at any time that she came to him. That, oh, you didn't accept my mashwara. You didn't accept my mashwara. And she was understanding as well. So she asked as well, is it this mashwara or is it your command? So one needs to understand that as well. And Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, no, it is just my mashwara that is there. So in this way, it is not necessary that whatever mashwara takes place or consultation or advice is given, that needs to be accepted as well, and that a person needs to feel bad upon it. That isn't the case either. وَأَمْرُهُمْ شُورَى بَيْنَهُمْ. And Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala, again, he would have a group of Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala who he would make mashwara with. He was the Khalifa, he was the Amir, he would make the decisions. But he always had a council, and who was his council? They were always those who were the scholars, the Qurra. And by Qurra we don't mean Qari Basit Qurra. We mean Qurra, we mean those who were well versed with regards to the Qur'an and the understanding of the Qur'an. They were from those who were close to the council of Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And so Umar radiallahu ta'ala would make mashwara with them. Similarly, on his deathbed as well, what did he do? He didn't appoint one individual to be the Khalifa, but he appointed 6 individuals. He had taken their names, that people should, and that those 6 should choose within themselves who they appoint to be the next Amir. So again, it was a matter of shura and consultation that had taken place here. And remember one thing, when we're talking here about shura, we're talking about Surah Shura and the Shura here, and not the Tablighi Imarat and Shura. That's got nothing to do with us at all. So we're not talking Shura, we're not talking about that Shura. Understand? We're talking here about the Shura which is mentioned here in the Qur'an. So don't have people think, oh Shura, 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 so we mentioned about that Shura, Shura, and then people take it this way or that way. Here we're talking about Surah Shura here, and the importance of mashwara and the role of shura in any council for that matter. So these are from the qualities of a believer. Where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَالَّذِينَ اسْتَجَابُوا لِرَبِّهِمْ وَقَامُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَأَمْرُهُمْ شُورَى بَيْنَهُمْ. And they do what? They establish salah, and whose affairs are decided by mutual consultation between themselves. So he says بَيْنَهُمْ, which shows that it is between themselves. وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. And as Allah Ta'ala mentioned, elsewhere in the hadith, as Nabi mentioned, that there is khair and barakat in it. Because when a person makes mashwara, in that then if a person even ends up doing something, or it turns out the consequences or the results are negative, a person can at least have that contentment that they did consult with people. And then it's a matter of what? Taqdeer. Because at the end of the day, it's all taqdeer. But if you don't, then you'll always have that lurking in the mind, that look, if only I had taken some advice from somebody. And here you've taken advice, so at least you know that look, you didn't just blindly go into something, but you did consult with people. That's why one type of mashwara is where you make mashwara with people, and the other way of mashwara is where you do istikhara. Where a person is uncertain with regards to a matter, then you seek help and assistance, and you seek goodness and khair from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is what? Which is istikhara. Again, in mashwara, in mashwara, you will consult with people, but you're not guaranteed that whatever comes from a consultation. So a person, for example, the Amir makes mashwara of the shura, and it so happens that unanimously everybody comes with the same opinion, and they accept that opinion. So it's not necessary that that is what's going to be the best, or that is in which they're going to be successful. But at least a person will know that, look, content, that people do istikhara as well. And then what, for marriage for instance, because when we talk istikhara, people think istikhara is only for marriage. That's the only time a person does istikhara, or they know what istikhara is. And then they say, what, but we did istikhara, and later on, maybe a few years later, and divorce takes place. So they wonder as well, how come our nikah didn't work out, whereas we did istikhara as well. We did istikhara, we did mashwara as well. So that is because that is what was meant for you to occur and happen. But at least you will feel content that you did see goodness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But khair was in whatever Allah Ta'ala had planned for an individual. And part of that planning is that yes, you were meant to get married to that individual, and then divorce also take place with that individual as well. This was part of your taqdeer, and that's how it went about, by means of the istikhara and the mashwara that you have done. But again, as I mentioned to you, nobody has ilm of the ghaib. The istikhara is not going to give you knowledge of the unseen, and neither is any consultation with any person for that matter going to be able to guide a person towards that which only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. Nobody has the knowledge in that. And those type of people who make such type of claims that we will do istikhara for you and we will be able to tell you, and people go to them, this is doing shirk, this is all shirk. No Baba and no other wali, so-called wali also can give you any such type of advice or give you knowledge of what's going to happen. As people have that, they have people while we're doing istikhara, tell us, should we do this or should we not do this? So they are expecting that they're going to tell us what is right and wrong definitely for us. No, that isn't the case. Nobody can give you that. And istikhara as well is not fortune telling. Istikhara is seeking khair from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it's not necessary that you're going to see a dream, and neither is it necessary that, as again I mentioned to you, that you're going to get knowledge of the unseen. And people people actually take istikhara to be what? As something as fortune telling. They want to know that we do istikhara, we've done istikhara, and they want to know in that istikhara whether that marriage is going to be successful or not. That's why then they say, but how come it didn't come out successful? So they want to know whether the marriage will work out or not. And you see, just for marriage, they make istikhara. Istikhara is something that you're supposed to be doing for so many things in life as well. Not just for the sake of marriage. And then to mashwara is, istikhara is to ask khair from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And where in decision making you're finding it difficult to make a decision, ask Allah Ta'ala's help to make you settle upon a right decision or one decision. That is what istikhara is all about. Istikhara is not going to tell you whether that marriage is going to work out or not. And these are futile. The boy and girl, they're dating one another for so many years. Dating one another for so many years. They never did istikhara then that should we be dating or not. And so many waqa'at come like that as well. They're dating, they know each other for so many years. And now when it comes to marriage, now they're doing istikhara and they want to know whether that person is the right person for me or not. All these years they never thought that is this person right for me or not. They made and did whatever enjoyment they wanted to do. And now when they know that, but in there they knew that we can just walk away anytime. And now it comes to now binding to one another. Now it's the case of we need to do istikhara now to know whether that person is the right person for me or not. And then what happens is they see a dream, and in that dream they see negative, everything is negative. Istikhara again, everything is negative. And now they're confused. Why? Because he was the perfect person for me. She was the right person for me. Because all these years together, your mind is that you just want to be with that person. They think it's part of nikah or something, that you have to do istikhara before nikah now, to know whether it will work out or not. And now the istikhara is going negative, but they don't want to leave one another. So they're doing the istikhara, but they don't want to leave one another. But then they think, oh, I'm confused now. Because, I like her, I like him, and, he's a perfect person for me, or she's a perfect girl for me. And now the istikhara is showing this way. So now they're totally confused because they don't know what does it mean, what way to go. And majority is the case of then that dating continues. Because they're scared if you get married and does come out negative. The dating, nothing's happening there, negative, so let's carry on in that way. So let's carry on in that way because they don't want to leave one another in this way. Or there may be those who then get married somewhere else, but then this relationship still continues as well. So the fact that you're getting all these confused things in your istikhara, it shows that Allah's khair is not with you because of the whole process being wrong. So you're not even being guided in any manner whatsoever. In a type of dream that you're seeing as well, all over the place type of dreams. And when they narrate the type of dreams as well, you know yourself, look, this is just part of your imagination and everything is all just mixed up. Your whole mind is mixed up and that is what you're seeing. Or the movie you saw before you went off to sleep and did istikhara. You're just seeing that movie. The only thing is the characters have changed. And the characters are who? Your boyfriend is now the villain. Isn't it? And he comes and he murders your mother and your father and everybody. Because that's the type of horror movie you saw before. And people see this and they say, you saw him and he murdered my mother and he did this to my mother or my father and all these types of things. And think for yourself, it doesn't even make sense, the type of things that they see in the dreams. And a lot of times it's negative, but then they don't want to follow it at all or they're confused more because that is where their mind and the heart is already set upon something. And remember, mashwara and istikhara is where you have taraddud. That means you are not sure with the matter. Yes or no, yes or no. That's where you do istikhara so that Allah Ta'ala can asking Allah Ta'ala to settle the heart on one or the other. The other is, something is positive And when something is positive, their istikhara is just for the sake of asking khair from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is not a case of doing istikhara to get an idea of negative and positive, because if that which is positive for you is positive, what more do you want? In marriages this happens as well. A girl gets a proposal from a boy, a good boy. Everything is positive. Now when everything is positive, you shouldn't be doing istikhara there for yes or no. If everything is positive, take that as an answer. Now you do istikhara for what? Ask khair from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah, you've sent this for us, everything looks good. Allah, we turn to you and you grant us khair in it. Otherwise, you're going to do istikhara now, and in that you're going to be confused, or you'll see something negative confuses you, and in that you're going to end up saying no to a very good proposal. Whereas Nabi Kareem mentions, if somebody comes whose deen, his akhlaq and everything is good and proposes, then do not delay in marriage there. Nabi is not saying do mashwara, Nabi is not saying do istikhara now. There's no mention of doing istikhara at all. Why? Because if it's good and deen and everything is right, then what more do you want? Yes, for the sake of barakat now, you do istikhara in asking khair from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not for decision making. And then what do you have? The girl side or the boy side says, okay, give us a week, we're going to make mashwara, we're going to do istikhara. And now they're going to do istikhara for a whole week, and then after the whole week, then we'll give you jawab and we'll tell you whether it's yes or no. Doesn't work, that's just going to mess things up more for you. Yes, if it's a case of you are seeing positives and at the same time you're not sure, there that istikhara is Allah Ta'ala puts something in my heart which puts me more towards yes or no. When you know that, look, we're not sure about something. When everything is good, that is good. There is a case of we're not sure about something. So this is something which is very, very important with regards to when it comes to things which come towards us in the form of whether they are, whether we should be doing istikhara or not in this matter. If it is good, then we should accept that. We should not delay in accepting what is good. There is a case of asking from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and not a matter of getting more and more confused with regards to matter. Further, one to matters which come to light as well, when it comes to mashwara as well, with regards to that person who you go to mashwara for. So if somebody comes to us as for mashwara, in mashwara there is no such thing as ghibat. When he says al-mustasharu mu'taminun, which means what? That you should be honest. So somebody has come to you with regards to asking you with regards to a proposal. That a proposal has come from so-and-so family, do you know them, what do you know about them? At that time to think to yourself and say, look, well, I'm not going to make ghibat, so because I don't know ghibat, I'm not going to tell you. That is wrong. On those occasions, it will not be ghibat for you to mention what the reality is. You know that there is something negative with regards to that individual or that family or that matter, for instance, then it won't be ghibat to disclose that. It won't be ghibat to disclose that. That will be being honest. That will not fall under ghibat. Yes, that make ghibat of those things which are unnecessary, unrelated to it, that will be ghibat. But this will not fall under ghibat. So at that time a person should not, and this happens, you have a lot of other cases as well that come to a qazi or a mufti as well. And in order to know that, you need to know a bit more about the families or the individuals or so. And at that time as well, somebody who's of understanding will say as well, that look, we need to tell you what the reality is, so we're not here to do ghibat about somebody, but this is, look, what their character is, this is what they are all about. And that is something like you go to court as well, you ask somebody, no, sorry judge, I'm not going to do ghibat. Isn't it? That a judge is asking you to give a character reference or so, and you know, look, it's bad, he is negative, he says, I'm not going to make ghibat here of somebody. No, there it won't be ghibat. There is disclosing the truth of what the matter is. These are just briefly a few aspects with regards to what mashwara in Shura is. And the fact that the surah is named Surah Shura shows us the importance of Shura as well. We leave the next verses for next week. Allah Ta'ala grant us all the understanding and tawfiq. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.